Well, hello, everybody. This is that Frankenstein. And the reason why I'm starting this video off on this Frankenstein right here is for actually a good reason. Because I was told while I was at the show that a lot of the vendors didn't do very good. See, that's from Unit 70, and that Krampus is from Unit 70. And this Frankenstein is from Unit 70. And you know what really went viral at Transworld? The animated version of that and the animated version of that Krampus right there. And I've actually had that Krampus go viral for me just recently. Got 18 million views on Instagram. Isn't that crazy? That's totally crazy. And look at our shop. It's nice and clean, considering. So anyway, I wanted to say hello. I haven't been doing any videos. Don't know like how many I'm gonna do about like how to do Halloween and haunted houses and things like that. I've been literally just trying to recover from the show. And then I went to another show. I actually didn't even go to Transworld, to be honest with you. I think I was only there an hour and 30 minutes-ish. I wasn't there very long. And I don't think I walked every aisle. I usually try to do a video where I start at one end and I try to make it all the way to the other, like walking every aisle before the battery goes dead. And I didn't do that this year. I just kind of like roamed around a little here and a little there, and because it just wasn't there for very long. And but I've been just trying to recover mostly. And I did go to another trade show in Las Vegas. It was called the Amusement Expo. And, you know, I'm just kind of sort of back to selling mini golfs, laser tags. That's what we're focused on right now. And then we're trying to, having some issues getting permits for Creepy World, and we're trying to work through that. And nothing else is really going on. And to give you just like a quick update on the Haunt Tour, but we do have a topic for today's video, and it's, we're going to get into it real quick. But the what has happened for us, you know, when you think about trying to get ready for the Transworld show, especially when it was in the end of February. Jesus, that was terrible. But renovating an entire haunted house, plus trying to redo your horror area, make your gift store bigger. We actually did do quite a few things inside the haunt as well. And then, you know, we had to go to Lemp and do some repairs over there, and we installed a couple new, you know, props, animations, whatever you want to call it, over there. So, you know, all this stuff happened in a very short period of time. And we built this whole haunt in 5 weeks. And then at the same time, we were trying to get the Alien up and running. And then on top of that, we decided at the last second that we would try to install that Frankenstein over there, and it didn't work. And then we tried to build a secret bar. And so what we didn't accomplish was we didn't finish the secret bar, and we did not get Alien working. And the truth is that Alien got working, I don't know, a week after Transworld. And it operated for about a week, and then it went down. A catastrophe went down. And then we had some people come back and help us, and now it works perfectly. So when people come to Transworld for 2026, you will be able to book the Alien. I'm sorry that we couldn't get it working before Transworld, but we tried. And I'm sorry that we couldn't get the secret bar experience working either. And we'll see how that goes this Halloween season. We'll see what happens. But with that being said, we did get it done. It took a couple weeks. And so really the only thing left to do here, which we're not able to do right now, is we're going to put a new hole in the mini golf. And then on top of that, we're going to try to figure out how to get this Frankenstein inside the darkness. That's going to be a goal. Now you would think we would try to figure out how to get it into the Frankenstein escape room, but that's actually an escape room I'm thinking about flipping out. So anyway, that's what's happening. That's what's going on. And so once we get the Creepy World stuff resolved, our next goal there will be to just get that up and running again for 2025. And then, of course, you know, which leads us back to, like, you know, how did the Haunt Tour turn out? How much effort and whatever was put into it? And I'm pretty sure that we spent a little over $500,000. The Haunt Tour was down this year, but it's still, you know, we did around $100,000 or a little more than that. But when you couple that with selling TerraVisions, yeah, I mean, we spent $350,000 between out of pocket, meaning we didn't get it back. So it's okay, because I really wanted to do the renovation. I really wanted to hopefully inspire the haunt industry to see that, you know, things could be done if you put your mind to it. And I think the goal was, you know, to build a haunted house in 5 weeks and to try to think outside the box so you could cut every corner and get it done. And I think we did that. I thought it turned out pretty good. But that doesn't mean that it's like great, you know, but, you know, it could be better, and it's something to think about in the future. But I can tell you, since the show ended, I have given almost zero thought to the darkness and any changes we might make, or even Creepy World for that matter. Everything is shifted now. Now you're shifting everything to, okay, we need to film some video in the new haunt so we can make a video of it. We need to do some pickup shots and film some shots in the secret bar. We need to film some video in the alien escape room. This is what we need to do to prepare for Halloween 2025. So these are the things that we'll shift gears towards, is working on these things here. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to focus on, and there you have it. So anyway, that's the update about us. And I do want to say that doing haunt tours, and I don't really care who does them, just appreciate anybody who opens up for MHC or Eastern Haunt Convention, because these people are putting a lot of pressure on themselves. They're probably scrambling to try to get their haunt all updated and done so that you can come for a tour. And these people will lose a fortune doing that one special event just for you. Now, I will say that the Legendary Haunt Tour, they don't lose a cent, because they just put it on their calendar and they're open to the public, and they literally market the fact that they're open all the way through that particular weekend. So it doesn't cost anybody to open extra for that, but it does cost extra when you're going to open for Eastern Haunt Convention. It costs a lot more if you're going to open for MHC, or in my case, Transworld. So anyway, getting off to Transworld, I wanted to make a quick video and just kind of sort of tell you what's going on here and what's happening. By the way, I've been renovating a bathroom in my house, and it turned out really fantastic. It's not totally done, but it looks really cool. And so I'm always like renovating or doing something, you know, where it's just like, it just keeps your mind rolling, you know. But when I was at Transworld, I talked to a bunch of vendors who told me they didn't do so good. And then I made a video about that while I was at Transworld, but then I never uploaded it because then somebody says, oh, no, that's not true. Everybody did great. And so I didn't know what was the truth and what wasn't the truth. But then since Transworld, I've talked to a handful of vendors, and then I've talked to some haunts that talk to vendors, and I talked to some other vendors that talk to other vendors. And it turns out that I would say that most of the vendors, at least the ones that I talked to, didn't do very good, or they didn't do as good as they did the year before. So I wanted to talk about that really quick and just give you my take on that and tell you in this video I think is mostly for vendors. So I'm just gonna and people think, oh no, you're negative. No, I'm not negative. I'm just being just keeping it real, as they say. Number one, I walked the show and it just seemed like the same thing it was the year before. And it seemed like the same thing it was the year before that, and the year before that. It's really all just blending together now. There's really nothing, and I would make the case, there's really not been anything that has gone super mega viral that gets filmed off that trade show floor other than, or I should say, since the Pennywise giant spider clown, or the Krampus. Now, the thing that probably got tossed around virally the most this year was the Frankenstein. And even though it's probably the coolest sculpture that Unit 70's ever done, clearly, as in terms of a viral animation, it's not on the same par with the Krampus and the Pennywise, and even maybe a couple of the other ones. But it was by far the most viral thing that came out of Transworld. And just think, okay, even though we had a booth and I didn't go to the show, what if I wouldn't have brought it? How much interaction would the show have gotten with stuff that went viral? I mean, it would be basically almost nothing because I didn't see anything that went viral. And I filmed a lot of stuff there, and I've been uploading it to my social media, and nothing really is done fantastic. And I have videos on my pages that have gotten 50 million, 20 million, 30 million, 38 million. Okay. And I don't really have, and I haven't uploaded everything so far. I have more stuff to go. But the only booth there that really just really stood out was, in my mind, was Scare Factory. And I want to make sure that I'm being clear. That doesn't mean that everything there was super cool, because it was super cool. But when a company makes a new mask, it's hard to really know, wait a minute, didn't you already have that? Oh no, wait, somebody else had that. It's we're really making a lot of the same things, and there's a lot of there's no breakout, okay? Costume wise, there's no breakout. There's no animatronic that was there that was a breakout, wow, you know? And I would say, and let's start with the animatronics. Almost every company that did animations doesn't create original art, okay? And I'm gonna go on the limb here and say the only company that's really making original art for animations was Scare Factory. And who had the best booth at the entire show, and it wasn't even close, there's not even a second place, it was Scare Factory. Why? Because they had a lot of original characters, a lot of original monsters, and they had really cool animations. But I didn't buy anything from Scare Factory. Why? Well, because even though they had cool stuff, it just looked like the same thing as last year, and we bought a couple of those last year. And so I'm not saying that they weren't cool, but the other thing is, I keep saying this, they keep making gigantic animatronics. You can't really get those in a built-out haunt. They're more made, for, hay rides and trails and things like that, where I spend a bunch of money, I build them, I stick them out there, they get rained on and ruined. So we have enough of those, so we didn't buy any, but I will say that Scare Factory's booth was cool. I think it was by far the booth that got the most probably interactions on the internet. In second place, I would probably say was Poison Props. They had a couple animations that might have been a little different. than the year before. But again, they're still like just spin-offs of something that's already been done in the past. So they had cool stuff. I didn't buy anything, but I was impressed with their booth. I loved how they set it up. I especially liked how they made a center, like where you could go through the center of it. I thought that was really cool. Now, the company in third place, in my opinion, that I liked in third place was the Never Mortis. And I actually think they had the best animation for an indoor haunt at the show. And by the way, flipping back to Scare Factory, I wish they would go back to making small animations, scary ones that pop out and do something. Because, I mean, they were really the first company that ever did that in the first place. You know, when you think about Poison Props, it's really just a spin-off of Scare Factory. Because that's the main stuff that Scare Factory did, was that kind of pop-out, in-your-face animatronic. And now they've shifted everything to what they display anyway, is to these big, over-the-top, hayride, display kind of animatronics. So... but although they still sell everything on their website, but when you go to the show, you wouldn't think they make anything like that when they actually do. But my favorite animation for the show, like if I was thinking about in terms of like the darkness, I thought that animation with the spider, where the guy's being killed by the spider, I actually thought that was probably the most well executed animation at the show. And I really love their bee. And this is a message that I want to send to the vendors. There was another company there, there was several companies, and one guy had like a Terrifier that like supposedly sliced somebody in half or something, but it was a setup animation. In other words, it would take 10 decades for anybody to ever see that. And the customers, they go through the haunted houses so fast, like who would want that? Then they had another cool animation where the drawers open and it tilted over. Again, that would have to be for like a queue line. Nobody would use that in a haunted house because nobody would ever see it. They go through the scene so quickly. And then there was another company. I'm trying to think of all the animation companies. There was... can't remember, the Dead Farm something. I think that was the one I was talking about. And then there was another company that was selling animations. I can't say off the top of my head what they had. And then there was what was the name of that company? Well, there was two right across from each other. And again, it just seemed like more Poison Props type stuff, or basically some spin-off. It's like the exact same thing. Like, for example, a Scarecrow, like how many, that shakes around. But the problem that all of these animation companies have, in my view, is that they're just buying masks from a company, or they're buying art from a company that we've already seen. So I think the animations that stand out is when you're doing your own art. And that's one of the things I liked about the Never Mortis. They did an animatronic that we've already seen 1,000 times, a shaking guy. Woo! Okay, but you know what they did? They put him in a bee suit and then put custom bees all over him. So even though it was an animation that we've already seen 3 million times before, done by virtually everyone, and 20 companies did it this year, but nobody did it like they did. Put him in a bee suit and put bees all over him, like he's shaking because he's, being stung by 1,000 bees. So I really liked that animatronic, and I really liked the spider one. Now, as far as the rest of the show in terms of animations, I can't honestly say that I liked animations outside of those three companies. And then there was the one company where there was this, I'm trying to remember what the heck the company is called, but they had the squirrel that jumped out of the trash can. I thought that was pretty cute. I liked that. That made me laugh. But the rest of everything just kind of seemed like something we've already seen before. So I'm not saying it's bad animatronics. I'm not saying don't buy animatronics from these people. I'm just saying it seemed like, well, we've already seen that before. Something jumping out of a coffin, something jumping out of a wall, a scarecrow that shakes. You know, we've already seen all this 1,000 times. Where's something like we haven't seen? Okay, like for example, the squirrel that came out of the trash can. I thought that was really clever, and that was something that we probably haven't seen before. The spider eating the guy and him screaming. We haven't seen that before. We've seen the shaking bee guy, but the shaking animation, but we didn't see it as a bee guy. And anybody who has a greenhouse would immediately buy that, if that makes sense. So. You know, and so here's the thing: when we talk about did the show do worse than years before? Well, one of my first reasons is going to be, and we can pretty much apply this to anything. If you sold props, okay, you had a monk, you had a zombie, you had a dead person, you had this, you had that. Like, we've already seen it all. Okay, we've already seen it all. Now, the one company that I thought really stood out was I think it's called Dead House. No. What is it called? The guy that works with Hell's Gate. His stuff was really, really cool. The art is so great on it. And of course, Ghost Ride stuff was really cool as well. But we're getting to a point where you have to ask yourself, do you have to go to see that Ghost Ride has dead bodies, that Ghost Ride has giant pumpkins, that Ghost Ride has, like figures, or that, this company had figures or that company had figures, or Immortal Mask had a bunch of masks and this company had a bunch of masks. It's like, I think you go because you want to go, and I think the main reason to go to the show now is the interaction, the events, the camaraderie, the networking, and I think that needs to get better. And I'll tell you, as far as like walking around on the show, it's a lot of fun. Sure, it's way fun, but if you're looking for something like breathtaking that we haven't seen before, I don't know the last time we've seen anything like that. I would say, to me, the coolest thing that I've seen on the show floor that I haven't seen, and the last thing that really got me was that bug zapper thing for the that your actors would use. That was something like, wow, when we seen that, we're like, wow, we haven't seen that before. And yes, there was all kinds of stuff that maybe you haven't seen before, but it's little stuff, little thing here and a little thing there. But when you're going to the show, you want to be like, it's almost like Christmas. You don't want to know what's in the wrapping paper. And when you go to Transworld now, it's like you do know what's in the wrapping paper. Okay, it's going to be zombies, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But where's the original art, like the Frankenstein from Unit 70? You just didn't see that. You just didn't see that. So when we talk about like, why is the show, maybe was the show a little bit down? You're seeing a lot of the same stuff every year. The vendors, and here is my first point. It's not to dog on the vendors, because they did a fantastic job. Everything was fantastic. Every booth was fantastic. But we're looking for that wow thing, like, man, I'm so glad I didn't miss it this year because I wouldn't have seen this, and that zapper thing would have been an example of that. Vendors, here's my suggestion to you. And I'm not saying you don't have good ideas, but you know who has the best ideas is the haunted house owners themselves. Vendors got to get back to making custom props. They've got to call their clients and say, what do you want? What do you need? And another thing I'm going to tell vendors is you need to go to haunted houses, for God's sakes. You make an animatronic that you couldn't get in without taking 30,000 walls down. You got to make these animatronics. And if you really want to be successful in the animatronic business, especially if you're making bigger ones, is you got to sell animatronics that literally you say, hey, by the way, this bolt comes out, that bolt comes out, this comes apart in 3 pieces, and you carry it back in, and you don't have to cut it apart and re-weld it. Make it easy, make it simple, and you will have a home run on your hands. But the people that are making the big props, whether it be animatronics or figures or monsters, you got to call your clients. You know, you've got to call your clients. And I'll just give you an example, you know, and I'm not trying to take credit for anything, but like that Krampus that's sitting over there. I mean, I literally called Bo and asked him if he would make that for me. And I literally described it to him. And I thought, hell, wouldn't it be funny if I had a kid kicking and screaming because he's going to be put into the bag, you know, like, you know, the bag of presents, but it's actually a bag of kids. And the reality is, Bo makes the most amazing stuff, okay? But he used to be really in the business of making custom props. And so he would have his biggest clients call him and ask him or make suggestions for ideas. Now, I can tell you that I talked to Bo not that long ago, and I gave him a lot of ideas, suggestions for next year. We'll see what happens. Maybe he makes them, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he makes another incredible Frankenstein. All the animations he made this year, he sculpted them, he came up with them. They were all fantastic. They were amazing. And my favorite one was the two-headed Frankenstein. I think it's off the Richter scale. And by the way, when people came to my haunt tour, they literally got hung up on that thing, just taking videos, and it made a conga line all the way through the haunt just to take pictures and videos of that one animation. And but people call Unit 70 and they give them ideas. People call Scare Factory and give them ideas. You know, in all fairness, David Falkman actually reached out to me in the beginning of the winter and asked if I would talk to him on the phone and go over some ideas that I have for new animatronics. Now, I actually did not talk to him this year, but I did give him ideas last year. And when I seen him, he literally took me over and he said, "Remember your idea for this?" He goes, "That's what this is." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's great." So, but I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. What I'm saying is, and by the way, if you talk to Ghost Ride or you talk to any of the vendors that I typically order from, Ghost Ride will tell you, you know, like, yeah, Larry asked for something specific. Okay. And then hopefully he can take that to Transworld, and I'm not the only one who wants it. Because you have to remember, if a haunted house owner is giving you an idea, that's because something that they want to see inside their haunt. So if they want to see it in their haunt, more than likely other haunts would want to see it in their haunt. My suggestion to vendors is to go out and talk to more haunt owners. And my second suggestion was that you need to get out and go visit haunted houses. Go to your best clients and literally go through their haunt, understand how their haunts operate and function, because nobody would have made the Terrifier animation where he's chopping through somebody if he went to a haunt and go, okay, like nobody's going to stand there for 3 years while that goes off. I'm not saying it's a bad haunt, and it has a place in a queue line type of setting, but not something that most haunts would want. Does this make sense? Okay. And I think you would understand this a whole lot better if you went and visited haunts and talked to your biggest clients and try to get ideas. That's what we need at Transworld. We need new ideas. We need a bigger pool of people giving those ideas. Vendors need to kind of sort of go back to trying to making custom stuff. You know, I once worked with Gorgalore, and I told him I wanted a big clown puppet, you know, and I literally almost we went over it together, how it would work and everything. And, you know, and he told me that didn't sell. And I don't understand why it didn't sell, because it was a great prop. I still have one of them in my haunt today. Well, I mean, it didn't sell because of the price. I think he put like a $20,000 price on it. And so this is my second suggestion to vendors. Remember who you're selling to. You're selling to a lot of people who do it yourself. You're selling to a lot of people, and when I say a lot, I would say 90% of the haunt industry, they don't have a ton of money. So price is very, very important. You have to be price conscious. And I think what happened was during COVID, a lot of haunt owners got money for COVID. They did really good if they opened for COVID. And a lot of haunts spent crazy for a year or two there buying everything in sight. Well, that's changed. Okay, now they're not buying everything in sight. So when you hike the price up, you're getting to a price point that's crazy. Okay, and because the price point is getting to a point that where, oh, I want to buy some animatronics. Okay, so if I buy 5, I'm going to spend $30,000 and I can't buy anything else. the price points are getting a little too expensive, I think. And you just got to remember who you're selling to and what percentage of your customers have enough money to buy that. And then maybe, you actually sell for a price point that's a little bit more, because make more money and build less of them. Okay, so if that's your model, you can go that direction. But if you're trying to get a lot of orders, price is very important. Now, that brings me to another topic about Immortal Mass. So like Immortal Mass apparently, didn't do as good as they had done in the past. And one of the big reasons was all the other mask companies, almost like if they colluded or something, and they all got to, I don't know that they colluded, but they all like dropped their price to $500 for any mask. Well, that's a kind of a big deal. Because when you think about it, and I think Immortal Masks are the best. Okay, let's call a spade. The people they have creating these, the sculptors, the talent people that they have is unprecedented. But a silicone mask, and it's like, it's not really apples and oranges. Okay, it really kind of is an orange and an orange. Okay, even if one company has a lot more to choose from, or their masks look a lot better, it's still an orange and an orange to a haunted house owner. Okay, but when one's 500 and the other one's 800, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So can these mask companies sustain selling masks for $500? Are they making a profit? I don't know. I don't know enough about how much materials and effort it goes into making a mask, and if you can make money at $500. I have no idea. So I can't say. But obviously that hurt sales from people who were trying to get $1,000 for a silicone mask, or $800 or $750 or $685 or whatever it is. It's kind of a big deal. And it shows you that you got to remember who the hell you're selling to. Now, I'm not saying Immortal should drop their price because everybody else did. I'm not saying that, okay? But if everybody's going to drop their price to $500, you have to expect you're going to sell less. And I can tell you last year, a company, and I won't say who, brought like a bunch of figures and they didn't do very well. Well, number one, they don't look as good as Ghost Rides, and you got the price point to almost the same, okay? You got to remember, your stuff is where it is, okay? You should have been selling it cheaper. Well, maybe at a cheaper price, you can't make money. Well, then you need to make better product. It's pretty simple. A pretty simple 101 here, okay? And so hopefully you guys can understand some of the things that I'm saying. Another reason why I think people were down, and this is a big one, that a lot of the bigger haunts, and when I say bigger, I'm not talking about just like the top 1%. I'm talking about like 10, 15% of haunts are now ordering year round. And they specifically they might place an order in October because, they are using that for, write-off purposes. Let's buy it now and lower my federal taxes. Now, you know what it really is? It's called robbing Peter to pay Paul. Because let's say you take your business out of business. Well, eventually you're going to pay, okay? But for now, we don't want to pay. We're going to buy props. So you put in huge orders for new stuff and you write it off, okay? But what I'm saying is the last year that you decide not to do that, you're going to pay a lot more in tax. It's going to catch up to you eventually. But for now, hell with it. Let's just buy new props. But you literally have if vendors go out there and they look at how much they sold, like in 2025 or 2024, and they look at how much they sold between, say, November, December, like they got orders in that time frame, okay, or maybe even January, I bet you it's triple, quadruple what it was 6 years ago. Quadruple. Because you know what vendors learned from COVID? That, hey, we can make new product, we can promote new product through social media, and we can take orders year round. That's what they learned. So now that's what they're doing. So And then, they might have seen you at Transworld last year, seen something, but they didn't buy it because they only want to buy in the winter now. And this is a real thing. So were you really down at Transworld, or were your orders up prior to Transworld higher than they had been in the years past? And you're just not because you don't have an Excel spreadsheet and you can't compare one year to the other, but go back and look at orders you might have taken in late October, November, December, and say, hey, I sold $100,000 this year, okay? Or I sold $180,000 from there leading up to Transworld. And then 4 years ago, I only sold $38,000 leading up to Transworld. Well, take the difference, add it to what you sold less of at Transworld, put them together, and then see, are you up? Are you up? Are you down? Are you up? Are you the same? Because I can tell you a lot of friends of mine that have bigger haunts, they ordered before January the 1st. This is a big deal now. I mean, you look at Unit 70 and he's sold out before Transworld even really rolls around because he's taking orders before January the 1st. And a lot of vendors took orders before January the 1st. So that's kind of part of the reason as well, I think, is just that, people are ordering year round and vendors are promoting and selling their product year round. So your business isn't as reliant percentage-wise on a convention or a trade show as it used to be. Does that make sense? So I would love to see some comments from vendors about that and tell me if I'm right. Now, another thing that I think is or was a problem for the attendance is I don't think the date in February works, to be honest with you. It's, there's bad weather all over the country. It's all over the country. It wasn't, in St. Louis per se. It was everywhere. And I think that most people want to drive to the show. I think it's a blue-collar show. And I think people want to drive. And, I mean, who wants to go somewhere in the winter, okay? Unless it's Las Vegas or Orlando or the Bahamas. So I just don't think that the show works that good in February. I think the show at this point needs to be late March because so many vendors are taking so many orders now in the winter that they've got plenty of things to do between getting the rest of the orders out before October and then taking a bunch of orders, before the year ends. And make new product. I think it's perfect timing. I think the show is perfect timing at the end of March because a lot of people too, a lot of the buyers don't have any money and they want to use credit cards and things like that. And they want to order closer, not earlier. Most people don't want to renovate their haunt in February. I think that they want to place orders at the end of March and start working on their haunt in April, May, or June, or something like this. So I think the show really needs to be towards the back end of March going forward, like it used to be. I mean, it would always fall on my birthday, which was March the 24th. My birthday just happened, by the way. But it used to always fall right on March, my birthday, like every year, and now it doesn't. And I think that's a problem, and I think that it needs to change. And I'll tell you another thing, and this is just my opinion, but the seminars at Transworld, I just think they need to really take a look at who's making the suggestions for the seminar topics, because to me, they're always the same. 60 scares in 60 minutes, something paint, something this. It's like the same thing. And I'm going to explain something to the vendors, okay? Because if you really want to see your sales go up at Transworld, there's one thing that has to happen. You may tell you what it is. Haunts need to make more money. I mean, it's just that simple. They need to make more money. And when I was at Transworld, or if I've seen people at the Darkness Haunt Tour, I had so many people come up to me and tell me they're watching all these videos, and these videos are very important to them. This is helping them hopefully grow their business or, make more revenue. But here's the problem. At Transworld, or any convention for that matter, when you do 60 scares in 60 minutes, which I think, by the way, is the single dumbest seminar topic, and whoever come up with that idea, they should be shot. But because you can't explain a scare in a minute, and is there really 60 scares in 60 minutes? You would think if you're in the haunted house business, you would already know like how to scare people. This would be like the main thing you would know. When I talk to haunt owners, the things that they're terrible at or they don't understand is digital marketing, growing social media, creating content, or how to lay out their website, how they should, where they should be advertising, okay, how to have a higher, throughput or ancillary type of businesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem is when you get somebody that's really popular and has a really popular haunt, and they do a detail seminar, or they do how you make it, or they do a scare seminar, they sell a lot of tickets. So of course, a trade show operator is going to gravitate to the topics that sell the most tickets. The problem is, whenever they do a business-related seminar, 20 people come. And see, that has to change. And by the way, there's so many people that come to Transworld that are just enthusiasts, home haunters, or actors or makeup artists or whatever. And, they buy the seminars when it's how to make something, okay? So you're really not helping haunted house owners. That's the problem. So if it were me and I was running the haunt seminars, I would try to make things more professional to help the people that need the most help to grow their business. Because one thing all haunt owners have is a very sick disease. It's worse than the coronavirus. It's worse than anything, actually, because there's no cure for it. Haunt owners can't help themselves but want to buy more props, more of everything. They just have a disease. They like buying everything in sight. So if vendors want haunts to buy more product, you need to help them sell more tickets. It's really just that simple. If you want them to grow their attractions faster and spend more money, and if Transworld wants them to spend more money, then you need to help them make more money. So you almost have to force upon them seminars that actually will impact their business. And that means, and I hate to say this, over 50% of all the speakers they have now, you wouldn't be able to use them. And I'll give you a prime example. I think any haunt that's hiring somebody to do digital marketing for them, especially any ones that are at the trade show, you're probably getting ripped off and you're spending a bunch of money on something you could do yourself. And when you think of haunt owners who are really do-it-yourselfers, you really should be trying to figure out how to do it yourself. And you know what? Google actually will help you do it, and so will Facebook. Now imagine if Transworld could get Google and Facebook, it probably wouldn't even be that hard, to come and do seminars. And wouldn't it be great for the industry if we were able to talk to Google reps and tell them of tools we would like to see in the back end to help us do a better job of marketing our attractions, to get that kind of like connection and that feedback. But who would be the best speaker you could get? A representative from Facebook who also represents Instagram, and Google who also represents YouTube. Would they be your best speakers? I would say yes, they would, because they would make the biggest impact. Now, I don't want to see a digital marketing company come to Transworld and do a seminar. Then it's like, oh, I want to hand out brochures, hire me next. I don't want to see that, because those seminars are usually totally fraudulent, in my opinion. I want to see representatives from big companies come to the show and literally teach haunted house owners how to do digital marketing better. I want to see seminars where they teach you how tips to get better photos, or to maybe use AI. Wouldn't that be a great seminar? AI to create content for your attraction, or sources where you could use effectively, affordably, to create content. Or how about a whole track on how to grow your social media and utilize your social media to your benefit to sell more tickets? How about a seminar just about how to sell more tickets by utilizing the features of, like, say, for example, Fear Ticket. Because Fear Ticket can actually help you make a lot more money. It's like seminars about concessions, seminars about gift stores. I would rather see all the seminars focus on what I'm right now saying than 60 scares in 60 minutes. And I'm going to say it right now. Whoever came up with that idea is a complete moron, in my opinion, because you can't even tell me that in 60 minutes you're going to be able to explain 60 scares. And what the hell is 60 scares anyway? That's the most ridiculous seminar topic. It should be banned. It should be banned for life. It's ridiculous. And it's not what haunters need. What they need is to figure out, how do I take my business from 5,000 customers to 7,500? How do I go from 75 to 10? How do I go from 10 to 15? How do I go from 18 to 25? This is what will grow the Transworld show. This is what will give people the opportunity to buy escape rooms. This is what will give people the opportunity to maybe go into the Christmas show and, like, hey, I want to do a Christmas event. This is what it will take. And when you have the opportunity of cornering all these people down, you can't have stupid seminar topics like 60 scares in 60 minutes. And by the way, that's not the only one that's ridiculous. And plus, if you're going to do seminars on safety, then please get somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. And, we got to get rid of all the speakers too that are just there to sell something, that don't actually own, operate, or know what they're talking about. And there's quite a few of them. And I'm not going to go down the list, but there's quite a few. So if you want to see people spend more money, then you've got to make a complete wholesale change. You have literally got to make the haunt industry smarter, okay? You have to make them more business savvy. A seminar on how to do accounting would be a great seminar, okay? That would be valuable, not 60 scares in 60 minutes. Shame on you for not only doing the seminar this year and last year and every year. It's a terrible seminar topic, and it does not help haunts make more money so they can grow their business faster. Does this make sense, or am I just talking to a camera, or is what I'm saying 100% true? Leave a comment. You tell me. Now, I know what I think, but what do you think? Am I wrong here? I don't think so. But if haunt owners are not going to go into these seminars because they're not profitable seminars, then what Transworld needs to do, in my opinion, is stop selling the seminars a la carte. They need to have a business track of seminars, okay? And they need to work harder to find qualified people to give them, not just any old Tom, Dick, or Harry. Okay? But you got to work harder to find qualified people to do the seminars and make it part of their ticket. So in other words, the ticket to get in is $99. Sell a VIP ticket, which I know they have, which allows you to get in earlier or something. But sell a VIP ticket, that's like $399, okay? And it includes the business track of seminars. There you go. Okay? That's how it should be done. And do away with all this nonsense like 60 scares in 60 minutes. Okay? And focus on teaching haunt owners how to run a business smarter, better, more efficiently, and safer. Safer. One accident and one haunt could ruin the whole industry. So we have to take the opportunity of being at Transworld to be conscious of the fact that there are many people out there that just don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it anyway. And we've got to make sure that we do everything we can to help them be safer. And those seminars have got to be important. They've got to be highlighted by not only everyone in the industry, but Transworld as well. And so this is my take on why I think the attendance might be down. And then one last thing I would say is last year, a lot of haunts didn't do very good, okay? And I would say also a lot of haunts this year that I've talked to are wondering how the economy would be. If you don't recall, the last couple years of Biden administration, everybody thought a recession was coming any second. And people still think a recession's coming. So with the recession coming, and with haunts jacking the prices up to astronomical levels, who knows if the attendance will go down this year. But a lot of people experience attendance drop last year, and that could also be a contributing factor. So I threw out a bunch of reasons why I think the attendance was down. You tell me what you think. And maybe you think I'm just a raving lunatic. I don't think so. I think I'm a person that tries to tell it the way it is, push the envelope, and I don't shy away from the criticism, okay? Because I'm gonna say what I think is correct. I'm gonna say what I think helps people, and that's it. So I wanted to quickly say thanks to everybody who came to our haunt tours. I have been literally recovering from it still. It just took a lot out of me as I'm getting older. And yeah, I'm looking forward to what's next. And then as far as will there be a haunt tour next year, I can tell you there will not be a haunt tour of the escape rooms. There will not be a haunt tour of the Lamp Brewery. My dream is always to do one of Creepy World if it could be figured out. But in terms of the darkness, who knows? I don't know. I might take next winter and do traveling and not be stuck in cold St. Louis. It's not really that fun. And I might just get out there more and do something, you know? And so then I probably wouldn't do a haunt tour, but we'll see. But I hope the vendors take my suggestions as constructive criticism. I hope that Transworld takes my opinions of the seminars as constructive. And I'll tell you one other thing. I would really love to see Transworld develop a section where it's all business. It's like any vendor that sells insurance, but also food and concessions. I'd like to see somebody there that sells trailers, you know, like food truck trailers that you can just buy. I've seen them at the Pizza Expo. But I would like to see more of that and help haunts like really take the financial end and be able to expand their revenue, even if their customer base doesn't grow. Does that make sense? Anyway, thanks a lot for watching the video. I do have a little bit of news. I might be going to Universal for their grand opening, and I will maybe be making some videos there at the Universal Studios horror section, which I can't wait to see. It's like, man, I'm really excited about it. But until then, happy Halloween, everyone, and we'll talk again soon.